Hey everybody, it's Dr. Savage. I was sitting here in reflection. I was actually just listening to, I'm a part of the Money Magnet Mentoring Program with Asha Tyson. And I was just sitting here listening to her video, her replay. Yes, it is awesome. And I was thinking about something that she said and how I have always wanted to be frugal and to teach my children to not necessarily be like the Joneses. And I am now realizing what the mindset that I have probably impaired. I've probably impaired my children from thinking outside of their amazing boxes because they are so wonderful. But it's just, I remember growing up, and I grew up in the struggle. I had, two parents who were not graduated from high school, and I remember, my father having a second grade education, but he was a brick mason, and he knew how he had his own business, so he knew how to make money from the sweat equity. But at the same time, there came a time when my parents, separated. And when they separated, it became a real struggle. So I remember times when we didn't even have, running hot water. I remember when, 6 children, welfare. I remember growing up in that big city, and when my parents were together, we had it all. But when my father and my mother separated, we struggled. And I think about what an impact that had on my mindset, because watching my mother struggle like that and having to always think about, as the oldest, always having to think about my siblings and taking a back seat to the things that I wanted so that my siblings could have. And because they were younger, they didn't understand the struggle. They didn't understand what it meant to be without. So I'm sharing all this because it's important for me to get it out of my head, because I told y'all I suffer with this traffic jam up here with all these thoughts, and it's good to get information out of your head. And so I remember my mom, 6 of us. I was the oldest girl. I had 4 girls and 2 boys, and it was hard times. I'm telling you, we didn't know, mommy was out of work. She was very sick, and so she, it was welfare. It was food stamps and welfare, and we maintained our home, thank God. And so we were constantly thinking of ways that we could help our mom. Like I remember my brother. He was we would all get together, and we would on Saturday mornings and pick up 10, the cans, the medals, newspapers, all sorts of things. We were hustlers. we were children, but we were hustlers. I saw the hustle in my brother, and he was younger than me, but he was a hustler. And so I said, okay, well, he's making money, and I'm going to have to follow after him, because I did not know how to do that, but he obviously, he figured out some ways to bring in a little bit of pocket change. So I would get out there with him and every Saturday, and I would go out there, and we would find metals, and we'd take it all to the metal scrap place, and we would cash it in for money. And so we've always had the hustle mindset, but it doesn't change how we, the mind frame that we had about money itself and the scarcity. the because we didn't have it, and so not having it made us work hard. But at the same time, you know, we grew up with the scarcity mindset. We grew up, you know, even with food. You know, food was hard to come by, and I think about how you know, you go after the largest piece of bread, or you go after the largest piece of chicken, or you know, that's a scarcity mindset. It's like you may not have enough for lunch, you may not have enough for breakfast, or you may not have enough for dinner. And you find this a lot in large families because the resources can be minimal. But I thought about how I poured over that into my family, my children, because I wanted them to know that they didn't have to be like the Joneses. You know, stop looking other people in other people's windows. Yes, stop looking at other. Hey, thank you for joining, Tip Kid. I appreciate you. Not stop looking at other people's windows, because you know things aren't always what they seem, and also you know, it kept them from thinking they had to have brand name this or brand name that or brand name the other. And instead, I trained them to think about start your own trend. I mean, that's not a bad idea. But at the same time, when I think about the discussion that Asha was talking about, is how, you know, we don't have to grow up thinking that we can't have these things. We don't have to teach our children that they can't have these things, because if it was made, then it was made to be bought. And if one person can buy it, then another person can buy it. I found that conversation just so impactful to me, because you know, I have another daughter at home, and she is extremely expensive, but that's okay. We try to meet all of her needs. You know, growing up these days, you know, meeting the demands and needs of our children is even more expensive, because technology, because of, you know, you got to follow their dreams. You got to do whatever you can to make sure that your children make it. But here's what I know that our conversations have existed of, and this is really going to have to be a brain changer, and I've been doing a lot of that over these last couple of weeks, and that is, I don't want her to be saying things like we can't afford it, because that's the things that I used to say. We can't afford that, you know, we got to think about our budget, you know. And I thought about, wow, what have I done? What have I said to my daughter when she, you know, I have not protected her from the mindset of scarcity. I have not protected her from the mindset of, you know, that she can have it all. When I know and eat, sleep, and breathe the Bible, I eat, sleep, and breathe His promises, and He says we can have it all. But what do I say to her when she asks for things, and I say, yes, that poverty mindset. When I say to her, you know, we can't afford that today, or instead of saying not today, you know, there's, you know, it's a thought, but just have a different thought, or have a different way of saying it, but not, you know, just not saying that we can't afford it, not, you know, speaking that kind of death over our life, because God has given us, like I tell my daughter now, I said, not today, but my Father has a cattle on 1,000 hills. I'm learning how to reverse what I say to her, and I've been really practicing hard these last couple of weeks, because I don't want her to grow up thinking and keep saying, you know, my parents are poor, and we're not. We're not. It's just that we have, when we speak from a scarcity perspective. So it's like, we need to change, people. We need to change about the way we address, the way we, you know, deal with our children and their mindsets. Because not only that, though, you know, even though I have to change my language, I am teaching them to own their own stage. I do teach them to own their own stage. That's what social enterprise is all about, you know, in terms of helping them to own their stage and own their own businesses. But at the same time, I cannot have these thought processes that allow me to speak that way. And I think that that's a lesson learned for me. That's really a lesson learned, and a very important lesson learned. And I'm thanking God, just for the replay. And we haven't even gotten into the modules yet, but just the replay right by itself was impactful, because we can't be thinking about it from that perspective. If we're gonna own our stage, if we're gonna be prosperous, then we have to speak it with authority. We have to speak the language that's gonna take us to our next level, even if we're not there yet. It's okay, but you can be. You're gonna be. Speak that. Not today, but tomorrow. Tomorrow will keep coming, right? So I'm thinking that as I grow in this process and as I begin to change, the way I speak about it, that I'm just going to kind of blog about it and, kind of share with the world, because I think it's important that see one, teach one. Yeah, hi. We're talking about the Money Magnet Mentoring Program with Asha Tyson. I'm a part of that program, and I was just listening to the replay, and I was thinking how over the last couple of weeks, and how I grew up, what I grew up thinking, how I grew up in this, with my mom, with two parents at first, and then with my mom, single parent, no job, struggle was real. How me and my brothers had to hustle to earn money. How I would go work for the daycare at 13, and I had only $20 a week is what I would bring home, but I would come home and give half of that to my mom. Yes, you are a part. Good. It's a great program to be a part of. I think it's going to be worth every dime that we have spent over the next 5 months, because it's only 5 months. But at the same time, you guys, yes, she's amazing. And she's been struggling getting this program out. And the reason why is because I know on the other side is greatness. On the other side of this program is absolute greatness. And so I just wanted to just come before you guys and share what I'm learning and share my thoughts about it, because I gave all to my parents, to my mom too. She was absolutely amazing. And, today she's still living, and she's gotten to see me get my PhD. And as many of you know, I've been talking a lot about, being born at 2.6 ounces and how I struggled to learn. And at 6 months gestation, my baby boy didn't live at 6 months gestation, but I did for such a time as this, and so I'm thankful. But I wanted, was listening to her replay, and when I was listening to her replay, she was talking about the way we think and the way we've been trained to think. And so I think anybody who's not in the program need to be in the program, because it's important how we think. It's important. I could have given up a long time ago. And if I didn't give up on that, then why should I be speaking about money the way that I do? Why should I concern myself with that? I have experiences all the time with God and how great He is, just like I did with my truck. Getting out of that $6,000, dollar tab and only paying $100 because I decided I wasn't going to worry about it. So I know Him to be true. But we have to speak this way all the time. We can't just do it some of the time, but it has to be a lived experience every single day. So I just wanted to come and share that with you guys, and thank you guys for engaging with me, because it is so important, and it's so important to connect with the right-minded people, connect with people who care about you and resonate with you, and be able to give back to those people who follow you, to add value. So as I learn from her, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some value to my target market, by helping them to understand, to speak life and not death, and how to change the way we think about money. So if we're learning things from individuals, we need to share those things with our audiences, because each of us have an audience. So I'm learning mine every day. I shared with my friends earlier how I had no idea the very business model that I use for social enterprise. I learned from Richard Branson, and I had no idea that Richard Branson suffered with dyslexia, learning disability, just like me. And so it was an amazing revelation. So I'm truly having a total life-changing experience right now. in terms of my business, in terms of my message, in terms of, the direction that God wants me to go, because He's given me so much, and to whom much is given, much is required. And so it's my job now to go and speak life into their lives, speak life into the person who's trying to overcome adversity, speak life into the... Please listen to it. Yeah. Yeah, it was sent today. A replay was sent today. Go and speak life into their lives as they get over the adversity of trying to learn. We learn differently, and what I understand is that even though I wasn't seeing letters backwards, I was processing slow, because it takes me time to break my words down, which means that phonics that was taught years ago isn't taught today. So maybe that's why there's an increasing number of individuals who are struggling more. I don't know. But at that time, yes, but at that time I was, phonics was a big deal. So I had to use my phonics to break down my words. But what that did was that slowed down my process for learning. So I had to use phonics for every single word, which meant that my peers were moving fast and I was moving slow. So that was the struggle that I was having, is that my processing was slower. And so while I needed to read it 5 times, they read it once, got it. And so I had to learn a different way. But the struggle was real. So now I'm going to go and share that with my audience. All the value that she's about to pump into us. I won't let her down. I'm going to go share it with somebody else, because I think it's very, very important. So thank you for allowing me to share one more time. For those of you who are with me for the first time and who are, please, feel free to heart me up. Please feel free to hit the little period man down there and follow me. Yes, everyone learns at a different pace, and I managed to get my PhD, and it wasn't easy, no step of the way. It really was not easy at all. But I didn't give up. That was the important thing. Once I learned my learning style, then I was able to move at a different pace. And, so all of the products that I make them for all learners. Every single one of them. Every product that I make in audio. I make it in written form. I make it in audio form. And I make it so that you can download it onto the computer, the computer for the person who needs to use their fingers while they read, like tactile learners. So, and I never really, what area am I in? I live in North Carolina. Is that what you're speaking of? What area did I study? Human services. I have a master's undergrad degree in, let me start over. I have an associate's degree in education, a undergrad in criminal justice, and I have a master's in criminal justice. I have an advanced degree in substance abuse counseling, and I have a PhD in human services. So, yeah, I covered all the gamuts, and that's why it's so important to me, all of these, because everybody is important. And that's why my mission is to affirm human social value for all people. So that's why I chose the business model that I did, which is, thank you so much, Elaine. I chose the business model of social enterprise because social enterprise is a place where all people benefit, not just some of the world, but all people. So, but what I'm learning is that my target market are people like me. It's not the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It's not them. It's not the elite at the top. It's not those people. It really isn't. It's not those people. It's not the extraterrestrials of the world. It's not the academically gifted of the world. It's the people who like me, like who needed a little something extra, and those little something extra, some of those people are rich and famous. So why wouldn't I? Thank you so much. So why wouldn't I, go back to where I started from, And, really just hone in on what's important to me. Why did I go to school all these years? It was because I intend to help the least of them. So it's just been a life-changing experience. I cannot explain it to you or anybody else who's watching the scope, but I am on fire. It's a different day, a different time, a different way of thinking, and I am super excited. So if there's anyone that, yes, he is. And I just feel so humble to really know now, to really, really know that everything I use. Hey, Devin, thank you for joining. I was just sharing some more of my heart, girl, thinking about that money magnet mentoring program, sharing how I used to think as a child and how I instill some of those same thoughts into my children, and how, just changing. God's just really doing something magnificent. He is really doing something mighty, and I'm telling you, it's about to be 100. It's about to be 100. I'm telling you, because he showed me my way. When we ask God, show me the way, and I did. I always do. I ask him, Lord, please show me my path. Show me the direction that I need to go in, because I don't like to waste time. There is no time to waste. We are confronted with some crazy things that are going on in this world, and my goal is to, every day that I eat, sleep, and breathe, supporting other people and making things happen. So I'm excited. So I'm going to go back. So starting tonight, I'm going back and I'm putting my first book on audio, so that I can make sure that audio learner like me has that audio has that audio book, because I have the digital version, which is the downloadable ebook, and the printed version will probably come out in a couple of months. But I'm going to go ahead and put it on audio too, because it's imperative. You have to address all populations. And so there's nothing, it's so important that we address people who have, learning disabilities. So thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Let me know when you're scoping. Have you ever scoped before, Elaine? Have you scoped before? Because you're new to me. I don't think I've ever seen you scope. Okay, great. Let me know when you're scoping, so I can follow you. So I'll make sure I follow you so I can watch you scope. Yes, so we can support each other. So I'm really excited, you guys, and I'm gonna listen some more. I'm here in Cary, North Carolina at film school, so I'm going to be scoping. This is my Super Scope Saturdays. So I'm on a lot on Saturdays, because I have these major downloads when I'm driving. So on these drives to and fro, I got to get some of the stuff out that I be thinking about on the way. So anyway, you guys, do have a great day. I'll probably be back on shortly, but it's really nice to talk to you all. Thank you for joining, Devin. Thank you for joining. I think it was Miss Petite. And who else did I see in the room? Tip Kids. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you all for joining. Appreciate all the beautiful hearts. Go and be great today. Define your purpose. Make sure that you understand what your purpose is and live that purpose. Live your purpose. Who you are is who you will resonate with. Your personality, your culture, the culture of your organization, those are the things that are going to be important when you consider your target market. For more help on your target market, I'm going to be putting out some more information later on your target market, so that you can identify with that. Coming up next, I'm going to give you a few tips on how to evaluate or look for your target market, some tools you can use. So coming soon will be that information. Until then, you guys have a great one. This is Dr. Eveangel Savage over at Audacity Group Social Enterprise. I am your 2.6 ounce baby girl, born at 6 months station 53 years ago, and I just received my PhD, and I'm every day loving me and you and help you get past your adversities. Thank you so much.